I'm Alan Seslowsky along with Jim Coventry from RotoWire.com, and here are our two favorite plays against the spread in Week 9 for the NFL.
Scoring has been down this year. The unders are what are winning. But in Week 8, we saw a few games hit the 60s. We saw one hit the 70s. Is scoring up? I think it was a one-week anomaly. The defenses still are way ahead of the offenses.
Why do you think it's a one-week aberration?
A couple games got off the rails.
Why do you think scoring's been down overall versus previous year or two?
Teams used to give the offense a ton of information pre-snap. A number of teams using 5-man fronts instead of 4-man fronts. What they're doing with the 5-man fronts is they're running simulated pressures. What that does is the quarterback and the offense don't know where the pressure's coming from. At the snap, some of the defenders back off, some stunt, and teams are attacking the weakest offensive linemen, and they're burying them play after play. And then in terms of the zone on the back end, those zones are very disciplined to not give away information by moving before the snap. They're waiting till the snap. Quarterbacks like Brady and Rodgers, they knew what to do before the snap. Now they have no clue what to do, and they have to read it after the snap. Teams are playing zone for 80 yards, a lot of man gets mixed in. But then when the teams get into the red zone, now all of a sudden it's heavy man, heavy blitz, something different than you've seen for 80 yards, and the speed of it is making offenses struggle.
So we see in the NFL that a lot of times that once there's an action, there's a reaction. What do you expect to be the offensive reaction to get scoring back to previous levels?
These changes all happen in the offseason. Teams have built their personnel to be able to pass the ball. They're not built as great running teams. A few teams do it and they go against the grain. But right now, the current configuration of roster talent doesn't match up to what defense are doing. This is going to take a few years to turn the tide.
When will the betting markets adjust and start to lower the totals as the number starts to creep down and down and down?
Well, I think we started to see a little movement in the point spreads, the over and unders. They've gone a bit lower in the last few weeks.
Who's going to be your pick for Week 9?
I'm taking the Miami Dolphins -5 at the Chicago Bears. Now, the Bears trade away Roquan Smith this week, Robert Quinn last week. They have a lot of inexperience on their defense. This is one of the wrong teams to have that issue with, and we're facing the Miami Dolphins. The team speed Miami has with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle puts enormous stress on any defense. The slightest miscommunication leads to a big play at any time. Now, you throw in the fact the Bears put very little pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and Tua Tagovailoa should have time for his receivers to get downfield. Now on defense, Miami's great against the run, weak against the pass, but they also blitz a lot. And don't forget, they just added Bradley Chubb to their pass rush this week. Now, Chicago wants to run the ball, and although they do have great run blocking, this is a bad matchup for them. The Bears won't likely have the firepower in the passing game to keep up on the scoreboard. I see the final score being Miami 31, Chicago 20.
All right. It's obvious to me that the betting markets were undervaluing the Atlanta Falcons in the first month of the season when the Falcons were 4-0 against the number. But the markets do adjust, and Atlanta has gone 2-2 in the month of October. But similar to the New York Giants, who were also 6-2 against the spread, the consensus is that the Falcons are not a quality team and are lucky to be in first place in a weak division. That might be true, but all of that is baked into the spreads as far as we know, Jim. So coming to Atlanta are the LA Chargers, who are fresh off a bye, but once again are one of the most injured teams in football. We still love the Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, but he is ranked 12th according to ESPN's QBR rating rather than a top 3 player through, I guess, the midpoint of the season, what we may have valued him at coming in. By the way, Atlanta Falcons quarterback Marcus Mariota is ranked 6th in QBR. Just saying. Atlanta has found a way to grind out wins and cover the spread when they lose. This is going to be a tough game, a fun game, but I'm taking the Falcons getting 3 points at home in Week 9.